everyone, Adrienne here. So today we are here for a little review of a book about absinthe. We're going to be discussing the brand new book, Absinthe Frappé by Marielle Songy. So I am really excited about this book, and Marielle is one of the amazing friends that I have made in the absinthe community over the last couple of years. And to celebrate today's review, I am indeed having an absinthe frappé. I literally just shot a TikTok on how to make an absinthe frappé because I realized I hadn't made one on TikTok yet, so there's that. And this is an incredible drink to have during the spring and summer months. Summer's definitely approaching. It's going to be a hot one, but let's hope we survive. It makes it a little bit more endurable when we have it with an absinthe frappé. So, Marielle Songy is a writer based in New Orleans. She's smart, she's witty, she's gorgeous, she loves absinthe, she's a little sassy, and we stan her in this house. With being a woman in the absinthe community, we know that we kind of have to stick together and support each other in a space that is still kind of perceived as a bit of a boys' club. So I'm always thrilled to support the endeavors of other women in the absinthe community, whether they be other absinthe lovers, experts, historians, reviewers, and even distillers and brand owners. So, Marielle, I'm so proud of you, and I am so happy to see your book is doing so incredibly well, even in the month and a half-ish that it's been out. So, let's get into it. So, if you're an absinthe lover, you might have a couple of books in your collection on the subject. You probably have Absinthe History in a Bottle. You probably have Absinthe the Exquisite Elixir, which I have reviewed in the past, and you might even also have Absinthe A Sip of Seduction. So, while Absinthe Frappé won't necessarily have new information for those who have already read the aforementioned books on absinthe, I think this is a really great book to have if maybe you're a debutante in the world of absinthe, to give you the facts as well as a digestible history of absinthe without being overwhelmed, because the history of absinthe, yes, it can be super overwhelming. I understand. You know, because you do definitely have a lot of people who are still confused about the history of absinthe. They're still convinced that it's a hallucinogenic, toxic thing, which it isn't. And then people who even think that, oh yeah, absinthe today is not hallucinogenic or toxic, but they will still think that it was hallucinogenic and toxic and harmful and, you know, worthy of being banned over a century ago, but that's not really the case. And I would even say that this book is ideal for someone who has no clue what absinthe is all about and wants to dip their toe in its culture and legacy and is interested in setting the record straight in their mind. So I found it to be a great read. I finished it in one sitting because of how thoroughly engrossing and entertaining it was, even though a lot of the information presented was not necessarily new to me. I think that is a testament to Marielle's talent for writing and storytelling. So Marielle starts out with a very charming and fascinating historical introduction to the use of wormwood leading up to the creation of absinthe as we know it today toward the end of the 18th century, with its earliest use dating back to ancient Egypt. Then she transitions into absinthe's origins as a healthy tonic to the French falling head over heels in love with it by the mid-19th century. One thing that not many people acknowledge when talking about historical absinthe drinkers are the women who were partaking in absinthe as early as 1880, says Marielle. Perhaps this is the origin of the girly drink. I guess we'll never know. So she also discusses how the traditional French drip method of preparation came about and added to the drink's growing appeal through to the end of the 19th century. She devotes the second chapter to absinthe's influence on art during its golden age, its portrayal in paintings, Baudelaire's, Verlaine's, and Rimbaud's consumption of it to Oscar Wilde's musings, as well as Van Gogh's tie with absinthe's bad reputation, however unfair it may be, since people are convinced that Van Gogh had such a bad trip after having a glass of absinthe that he cut off his ear, but we all know that there were other circumstances at play in that incident, which is something that Marielle does get into as well. And I love that Marielle busts the myth of Edgar Allan Poe being an absinthe drinker. Marielle focuses next on absinthe's influence in New Orleans. I'm fortunate that my first experience with absinthe was in New Orleans as well. And, you know, it's widely considered the absinthe capital of the United States. I was just a tiny bit underage when I had absinthe for the first time, but obviously that was all it took for me to fall in love with it. So that makes me super happy. So she discusses the origins of the old Absinthe House, and it's tied to the French Opera House in the French Quarter of New Orleans. I really want to go. I really want to go back to New Orleans. I miss New Orleans terribly. The heat I probably will be able to handle a little bit better since the last time I went, but I really want to go back. So another thing that Marielle goes over that I find extremely helpful, especially for the newbies in the absinthe world, is explaining the exact origins of the hallucination and toxicity myths. If you understand where the myth comes from and find out that it's all due to propaganda from winemakers and a few bad apples, you will come to the realization that the notion of absinthe as a hallucinogenic or dangerously toxic substance is completely false. Marielle does a great job of establishing the truth here, which I really appreciate. It's not easy to dispel that kind of misinformation out of people's heads. Yeah. Marielle also takes a brief look at what was happening with absinthe in the post-ban era. She also dives into the brilliant scientific work done by absinthe resurrectionist Ted Brough, but she presents the scientific breakthrough done by Brough in a very digestible way without overwhelming you with scientific jargon, which I really appreciate, because I'm not a sciencey girl. I also don't do math very well. Now, mind you, I do work in the medical field, but I am strictly involved in the collection of blood samples, not necessarily the testing and the science behind it. So there's that. Anyway, she talks about the bans lifting in the US and in Europe, the legal requirements for absinthe, and finally she closes the book with some great absinthe cocktail recipes that are definitely worth trying, and it details where in New Orleans you can enjoy absinthe. So I thoroughly loved this book. It's a very quick yet enjoyable read, and I think it's a perfect introduction to absinthe for beginners. Marielle definitely has a gift for writing, and her charming personality definitely sparkles through her written words. So Marielle, if you're watching, you really knocked this out of the park, baby cakes. I am so happy for you on releasing this. Congratulations. So that being said, that is the end of this review before my camera overheats because the window's closed. Oh dear. But it's getting a little toasty in here. Oh god. Summer approaches, can you tell? So everyone, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope that you take a minute to gather the ingredients for making an absinthe frappé and make it for yourself at home. It is super easy, super delicious, and I actually did feature the absinthe frappé in my absinthe cocktails you need to try video that I made last year, or rather 2 videos. I seriously cannot recommend the absinthe frappé enough. It is so refreshing, so lovely, and it puts absinthe on full display and all of the wonderful things about it. Well, that didn't take very long. So everyone, thank you so much for watching. I will leave the links for Marielle's social media and everything in the description below, and where you can buy her book and all of that fun stuff. And subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and make sure you hit that bell for notifications for more videos on absinthe, the goth subculture, gothic literature, and other fun things that we love doing here. You guys are amazing, I love you, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!